Welcome back to AI Watch, where we break down the stories that matter most in artificial intelligence. I'm your host, and we need to talk about something that should make every smartphone user pause and think twice about what they are agreeing to when they use social media. This isn't just another feature rollout. This is a fundamental shift in how tech companies access our most private digital possessions, and the privacy implications are staggering. The language sounds innocuous enough. By clicking Allow, you'll let Facebook generate new ideas from your camera roll, like collages, recaps, AI restylings, or photo themes. Sounds helpful, right? Just AI making your photos look better? Facebook is now asking users to upload their entire camera roll to Meta's cloud servers, including photos you've never shared anywhere, so their AI can generate creative suggestions for your stories. Once shared, you agree that Meta will analyze those images, including facial features, using AI. The same AI terms give Meta the right to retain and use any personal information you've shared to personalize AI outputs. The AI terms don't prevent this data from being used for other purposes. It could end up in training datasets, be used to build more detailed user profiles, or be retained indefinitely on Meta servers. The company can review your interactions with its AI, including conversations, and those reviews may be conducted by humans. Meta hasn't issued a formal announcement or blog post about this feature. For years, Meta has trained its AI systems on publicly shared content, posts, and comments on Facebook and Instagram. Meta's AI ambitions are well documented, and the company is racing to compete with OpenAI, Google, and other AI leaders. Tech companies are increasingly asking for access to more personal data to fuel their AI development. Apple wants to scan your photos for AI features. Google wants to analyze your documents and emails. Microsoft wants AI to monitor your screen activity. If users accept that their camera rolls can be uploaded for AI processing, what's the next boundary that gets crossed? Voice recordings, location data, biometric information. The pop-up describes it as cloud processing for creative suggestions, not as comprehensive data collection for AI training. Meta says the processing happens in the cloud, which means your photos are transmitted over the internet and stored on Meta's servers. Even with encryption during transmission, once those photos reach Meta's servers, they're subject to whatever data retention and use policies the company decides to implement. By starting with a limited test in specific regions and framing it as a helpful feature, the company can gauge backlash before a wider rollout. The AI industry's appetite for training data seems unlimited, and companies are getting increasingly creative about accessing new sources of personal information. Look for camera roll sharing suggestions in the Preferences section and make sure both toggles are disabled. The first controls whether Facebook suggests photos from your camera roll while browsing. The second controls the cloud processing feature that uploads your photos to Meta's servers. Your private photos today, your private conversations tomorrow, your private thoughts eventually. Companies are so focused on gathering, training data, and improving their AI capabilities that user privacy has become secondary. Do we want a world where our most private digital possessions are automatically accessible to tech companies for AI training? Do we want our personal photos, conversations, and activities to become inputs for corporate AI systems? Do we want privacy to become something we have to actively fight for, rather than something we have by default? The assumption seems to be that users will accept any level of data collection as long as it's packaged as a helpful AI feature. If users accept this level of access to their private data, it opens the door for even more invasive collection practices. Users who agree to this feature probably think they're just getting better photo editing suggestions. Facebook's camera roll feature is just the latest test of how much privacy erosion users will accept. The AI systems being trained on this data today will shape digital interactions for decades to come. It's about the fundamental relationship between users and the AI systems that increasingly shape our digital lives. Stay vigilant, check your privacy settings, and remember that just because a feature is optional doesn't mean it's harmless. The privacy we give up now may never be recoverable. How we respond will signal to the entire tech industry whether there are any boundaries left when it comes to accessing our personal data. Not providing Meta with one of the most comprehensive data sets about their private lives. Users should be able to easily see what data companies have collected about them, understand how it's being used, and delete it permanently when they choose to opt out. Each request sounds reasonable in isolation, but together they represent a comprehensive surveillance apparatus being built into our daily digital tools. Meta spokesperson Maria Cabeda called it a test and emphasized that suggestions are opt-in only and only shown to users unless they decide to share them. But this response misses the fundamental privacy concern. The issue isn't whether the AI-generated suggestions are shared publicly. The issue is that Meta is accessing and analyzing private photos that users never intended to share with anyone. We need comprehensive privacy legislation that requires explicit, informed consent for accessing private data like camera rolls. Access to billions of private photos would give Meta a significant advantage in training more capable AI models, especially for image recognition and generation tasks. Meta has a concerning track record when it comes to protecting user data. Major data breaches, unauthorized data sharing with third parties, and violations of user privacy have been recurring issues. Giving this company access to your most private photos seems like an unnecessary risk. There's no granular control, no ability to limit access to specific photos or time periods, no clear data retention policies, and no easy way to revoke consent once given. If major tech companies can normalize accessing users' private photo collections, it sets a precedent for even more invasive data collection. We're moving toward a world where privacy becomes a luxury good, available only to those sophisticated enough to understand and navigate complex privacy settings. But accessing users' private camera rolls crosses a fundamental line. Meta, the damage may already be done. Once your photos have been uploaded to Meta's servers and processed by their AI systems, there's no guarantee that data can be truly deleted. AI models trained on your images can't simply forget what they've learned from them. Can quietly roll out features like this, knowing that most users, I'll understand the implications or know how to opt out. The company benefits from user confusion and privacy fatigue, where people just click agree to make the pop-ups go away. These are photos users explicitly chose not to share on social media. EU users had until May 27, 2025 to opt out of Meta using their social posts to train AI systems. But this camera roll feature appears to be launching primarily in the US and Canada, where privacy protections are weaker. It's just appearing as a pop-up when users create stories primarily in the US and Canada so far. Most users probably click through without understanding what they're agreeing to. The feature's sudden appearance and vague description suggest Meta knows this is controversial. They don't clearly define what they consider personal information, which means the scope of what they're collecting could be virtually unlimited. This processing allows us to offer innovative new features, including the ability to summarize image contents, modify images, and generate new content based on the image. Let's break down exactly what's happening here. When Facebook users go to create a new story, a pop-up appears asking them to opt into something called cloud processing. Facebook says it will upload media from your camera roll to its cloud on an ongoing basis, based on information like time, location, or themes. When you upload photos to Meta's cloud, those images undergo facial recognition processing. But modern AI can extract far more than just faces from photos. It can identify locations based on backgrounds, read text in images, recognize objects and activities, and even infer personal relationships based on who appears together in photos, ongoing basis. That means Facebook isn't just looking at one photo when you ask for help. The metadata alone tells a story about where you go, when you go there, who you're with, and what you're doing. Combined with AI analysis of the actual image content, this creates an incredibly detailed profile of your daily life, relationships, interests, and behavior patterns. It's continuously scanning and uploading your private photos, the ones sitting in your phone that you never intended to share with anyone. But here's what that really means. Screenshots of personal conversations, photos of your kids, images of documents, maybe your driver's license or passport. You are agreeing to Meta's AI Terms of Service, which allows your media and facial features to be analyzed by AI. Facial recognition on photos you never shared. The company will use the date and presence of people or objects in your photos to craft its creative ideas. Pictures you took for insurance claims. Medical photos, photos of your home, your workspace, your daily life. All of this becomes fair game for Meta's AI systems once you click that Allow button. Think about what's in your camera roll right now. But it gets worse. When you agree to this feature, you're not just agreeing to photo processing. Meta's AI terms are revealing about just how much access this gives them. But here's the part that should really concern you. Now, Meta claims the photos aren't used for ad targeting, and that only you can see the suggestions. But that's not the full story. What makes this particularly insidious is how quietly it's being rolled out. The privacy implications go far beyond what most people realize. Your camera roll is essentially a comprehensive diary of your life. This represents a massive expansion of Meta's data collection beyond what users have previously consented to. The timing of this rollout is also suspicious. But there's a broader pattern here that extends beyond just Meta. The consent model being used here is particularly problematic. Users are presented with a binary choice: allow comprehensive access to their private photos or miss out on AI features. This is what privacy advocates call the slippery slope problem. Each new data collection request normalizes the next one. The European Union has taken a stronger stance on this issue. What's particularly concerning is how this feature is being presented to users. The technical implementation raises additional red flags. There's also the question of data security. The broader implications for society are equally troubling. This also highlights the power imbalance between users and tech platforms. For users who have already enabled this feature, the rollout strategy also suggests Meta is testing how much privacy erosion users will accept. This story connects to broader concerns about AI development and data collection. What can users do about this? First, check your Facebook settings immediately. But beyond individual action, this requires regulatory intervention. The current system where companies can quietly implement invasive data collection practices with minimal oversight is clearly broken. We also need data portability and deletion rights that actually work. The tech industry's response to criticism of this feature has been predictable. This incident should serve as a wake-up call about the direction AI development is heading. But there's a broader question about the kind of digital future we want to create. The answer to these questions will determine not just the future of AI development, but the future of digital privacy and personal autonomy. The stakes couldn't be higher. Once we normalize comprehensive access to our private digital lives, there's no going back. That's our analysis for this edition of AI Watch. This isn't just about Facebook or Meta.